Summary of Daf Kuf Ches, page 108 of Torah Ohr. Now, we've already said that honey, although it's sweet, it also has an element of gvura, of severity in it, and that's what helps it preserve things and also turns whatever's inside it ultimately into honey. Eventually everything in it will disappear and become part of the honey. So now honey is like this measuring stick. The idea of measuring stick is also about severity. It's limiting that this is the size of the room. And that's what honey does, but its purpose is in order, not for the purpose of blocking, but for the purpose of, on the contrary, of kindness, of sweetness. And that's like, for example, you have gevura, which is the severity, which is about saying, I don't like this place. This place is unholy, it's bad, evil. I want to go back to my source. And that's Hashem's light being sent down and then going back up to Hashem without us being able to take it in or be energized by it. But gevura says, your job is down here. Stay down here. Or gevura says, severity says, that I'm going to limit this light into specific qualities so that it can come down. So that's the severity within sweetness, and that's the spiritual meaning of honey. And it allows for refinement and improvement, and that's like the hair of the beard. On one hand, it's hair, which hair represents limited energy. On the other hand, the beard represents a high spiritual level. So now let's talk about milk. So milk is what nourishes a baby. And so let's talk about emotions. There's the emotions that we just sense, but then there's, in others, we feel one's actual emotions, but then there's the more general, like how our emotions work. It can be either non-functioning or at a natural level or guided by intellect. So when the baby's inside the mother's womb, the fetus, the emotions are not functioning at all. Then it comes out and it develops natural emotions, and you start to see what its personality will be as the baby grows older. And then eventually it starts to be guided by intellect. So the milk is what, first of all, helps it to be natural, not non-functioning. And then after it finishes nursing, through all that nursing for 2 years, it starts to develop a sort of framework for through which its emotions will be guided by its intellect, and the intellect tells the emotions, well, this emotion is actually inappropriate here, you should actually have a different emotion. And then we actually begin to feel differently. We begin to be more generous or more forgiving, or whatever the particular emotion is. And that's all through the milk. And the milk actually comes from blood, which is being transformed into milk. The blood then, so to speak, it goes up from the lower body into the higher body, and then is influenced by and impacted by the brain, and then coming down into the breast as milk, and therefore it's connected to bina, which is understanding. So that's how it is with us, and that's the same way with Hashem, that the idea of milk represents developing the emotions that they should be ultimately guided by intellect, and in particular, actually, and that is through bina. But then even higher, mechen de gadlus, is when it's through not bina but chachma, because bina is the details as we understand it, whereas chachma is when you let the idea shine through. So it's before you have the details, but you have a far deeper appreciation of the essence of the idea itself, and it's with humility, unlike bina, where we're active and therefore there's a sense of self. Now, pregnancy is the earliest state, and what's happening is especially in the last 3 months, that the baby's getting heavier and sort of lowering down towards the birth canal, and then the yesod is meaning foundation is blocking. It's being held in, and then the pain of labor is all from this. It's about being held in versus expanding. These two different directions. Now, the Jewish people in Egypt were considered like a national pregnancy, and then with the Exodus, that was the birth. And Pare therefore represents this sort of birth pangs. And this is from Klippa, from the side of impurity and concealment of godliness. They're trying to siphon off the energy, and that it shouldn't be in the right way. But ultimately, the same yesod, which blocks the baby coming out for the last 3 months, opens and allows birth. And that's like when a teacher might be teaching, and normally yesod makes sure that the teacher is bonding to the child and therefore the student, and therefore teaching only in a limited way. But where it's just free flowing and the teacher just can't control, it's just flowing out of the mind and it's just going and going. So then actually yesod helps it go forth and does the opposite function. Instead of making sure it's limited, it just pushes everything out, even if it's it shocks and it's beyond the student. So that's like in during birth, where yesod there is, instead of holding the baby in, it's on the contrary pushing the baby out, and that's like this bekia, this breakthrough of the light of Atzilus, as well, where yesod, instead of being the blockage, becomes a help to revelation. And so this helps us understand the stages of pregnancy, birth, the nursing, and then intellect as it grows beyond that. And this is all in relation to understanding a land flowing with milk and honey.